Back. You are listening to TurboCharge Your Business on the #1 global business talk and news network on the internet, IBGR, International Business Growth Radio. I'm Patty Lawrence, and this is episode 26, Why Do We Budget? Be sure to go to our website at ibgr.network and download the show notes. So, why do we budget? What the heck, right? We covered what is a budget, right? The next thing is, why do we have to do this, right? Why? As business owners, we've got fixed capacity in our business. We've got things to do. We've got people to see. We've got businesses to build. So why are we spending time on budgeting? Well, I talked a little bit in our last segment about what is budgeting. So inherent in the what is budgeting is some of the why. So why do we do it? Bottom line, why do we do it? First of all, it's planning for the future. So we did a little bit of work on our strategic plan, and we talked about how the strategic plan, year one, feeds the budget for next year. So that's one of the big things, is we're tying all of those things together. We're tying our planning tools together. So year one, we're going to take that strategic plan, year one, and break it down. We're going to break it down into a little bit more detail, a lot more detail, actually. We're going to quantify it, not just at the 50,000 foot view, but we're going to take it and break it down so that we are putting together that roadmap. All right. So we're quantifying what it is we're doing for the next 12 months in our business, and aligning that with our strategic plan. So we're really planning, what are we going to do with our business over the next 12 months? Because that's where it aligns with all of our other planning. So these are all intertwined. So we've talked about capital planning. We've talked about people planning. We've talked about the strategic plan. So all of these are intertwined, and we want to make sure that they're all in alignment as we plan for the future. Another reason why we do it is cash flow management. We talked a little bit about cash flow planning as it related to capital planning. So cash flow management, cash flow planning, your resource planning, financial resource planning for your business. You need to know what kind of cash flow you're going to have in your business over the next 12 months. Are you able to generate cash flow from operations that's going to satisfy the cash needs of your business, including people planning, including your capital plans, including any expansion and growth plans? What are those requirements? And does the timing of it support your business? Or do you need to rely on outside funding sources, external funding sources like bank or a line of credit or term loan or investor, or partnership, whatever that looks like? You will know what that looks like over the next 12 months if you do the right things around your business in terms of taking that level of detail and scheduling it out in a budget format. The other thing that I just touched on from a cash flow management standpoint is also financing. So securing financing for your business if and when you need it, because the timing of your expenditures doesn't necessarily match up with the cash that's coming into your business and you have a bit of a deficit in that regard, and it's a temporary thing. But when it's temporary, you need to have resources that are available to you that will prop up your business and allow you to continue operating at the level you need to fulfill your customer or client requirements. So that's another big one as it relates to why do we do budgeting. The next piece is really responding to unexpected changes in your business. So we talked a little bit about uh, what it is, budgeting, what it is, and that it gives you some insight and gives you the ability to make quicker decisions and more insightful decisions because you've got all of that planning around assumptions and around what are you thinking about your business. I like to say we pull that information out of owners' heads so it's actually on paper. So we take whatever the owner's plans are that typically get stored up top in your head. We pull that out, we extract that, and we quantify it. We turn that into numbers, right? We put that into a budget. And what that allows us to do is to have the entire leadership team on board with what are those assumptions, what is the vision for the business, and what are the expectations of the owner quantified so that everybody knows what that is. So there's communication of that throughout the organization. There's also alignment throughout the leadership team as far as what direction are we taking the business this year. And everybody rallies around that. So responding to unexpected changes becomes easier because we all know what we expected to do. And when those don't materialize, it's not a surprise in terms of what do we have to do to adjust to honor our boundaries, right? Honor those controls that we have in place and get back on course using our GPS, our budget as our GPS. The other thing we talked about earlier, but this is where the rubber meets the road, is evaluating performance. So we talked about measurements before. Now we're talking about evaluating performance against those metrics, against those benchmarks. So we can run reports and say, here's where we actually performed, here's where we expected our performance to be, and here's a gap. So what happened to cause the gap? Is it a favorable gap or is it an unfavorable gap? Unfavorable, maybe we missed our revenue targets or we overspent. Why did that happen? So once we have those answers, we can take corrective action. The other way is when we have performance that exceeds expectations. So maybe we performed, but we had revenue better than we expected, right? Better than budget. And we had expenses that were lower than budget. Why are those happening? What is the source of that? So when we know what the drivers are, then we can take more and better action to either continue them or discontinue them, depending on if they're favorable or unfavorable. And we learn what works in our business and what doesn't. So we can also use trial and error to help do that, help evaluate that as well. Sometimes that's not the best, but sometimes that's the only thing that will work as we feel our way through the different seasons of our business. Another reason why we do budgeting is to track and monitor waste. So, what is that? It's not like your trash. It's not like your trash in your business, but what it is where things are less efficient. So, waste is the equivalent to inefficiency. So when we look at our business, how are we spending our dollars? Are we spending our dollars efficiently or are we spending them inefficiently? So one area of concern, especially with service-based businesses or even manufacturing businesses, is labor cost. So when we look at labor cost, are we spending our time wisely, or are we squandering and maybe having to redo things? So once we have to redo things, that causes a whole lot of inefficiency because you're paying for things to be done twice when they should have been done right the first time and done only once. When that happens, you incur more labor costs because you're paying for that activity to be completed twice instead of just once. So that waste and inefficiency creeps into your performance, into your financial performance. And then we need to understand what is the underlying and root cause to that and take corrective action. So those are the reasons, the main reasons why we budget, because we can get better information and we can take action as a result of that information. So we're now going to head to a short 2-minute break. And when we return, we will be talking about how to budget in your business. Be sure to check out my collection of free resources at turboexecs.com/turbocharge. And you can continue the conversation with me, Patty Lawrence, on LinkedIn. You've been listening to Turbocharge Your Business and episode 26, Why Do We Budget? On the IBGR network. I'm Patty Lawrence, and we'll be back after a short break.